The perfect guest. They say the best guest is polite, quiet, and never overstays their welcome. But what if the perfect guest never leaves? The story begins in a small town in Vermont, where Lydia and her husband Daniel owned a charming countryside bed and breakfast. Their inn wasn't grand, it had 6 rooms, creaky wooden floors, and the smell of cinnamon rolls always drifting through the hallways. They lived for the visitors, travelers who came and went, leaving their laughter, their stories, and their warmth behind. But in the fall of 2011, a guest arrived who was different. His name was Hale. He was polite, impeccably dressed in a charcoal grey suit, and carried only a single leather suitcase. He booked a week's stay and insisted on paying in cash. His voice was soft, courteous, almost soothing. Lydia immediately called him the perfect guest. Victor never complained. He never asked for extra towels. He left his room spotless every morning, his bed neatly made, his belongings tucked away as if untouched. At breakfast, he would smile, compliment Lydia's cooking, and sometimes tell charming but vague stories of traveling for work. He didn't say what work. He didn't say where he came from, but he had a way of making people feel seen. His eyes lingered when he listened, as though your words were sacred. The other guests loved him. Daniel, however, didn't. Something about Victor unsettled him. "He's too perfect," Daniel whispered one night when they were locking up. "People slip up, leave a sock under the bed, spill coffee on the table, but not him. It's like he's rehearsed being human." Lydia laughed it off, saying Daniel was being paranoid. But she admitted, sometimes, she couldn't hear Victor coming down the hall until he was right behind her. As the week passed, guests checked out, one by one, but Victor stayed. Each time Lydia asked about his departure, he'd smile kindly and extend his stay another week. He paid promptly, in crisp bills that looked almost new. Of course, he'd say, "I wouldn't want to overstay my welcome." And yet, he never left. Strange things began happening in the house. Guests reported hearing voices in the walls at nights, off conversations, as though 2 people were whispering back and forth. Daniel searched, found nothing. Then, one morning, a guest complained that the mirror in their room fogged up during the night, though the heat wasn't on. On the glass, words had appeared, "He's staying." When Lydia checked Victor's room while he was out, she noticed something strange. His suitcase was almost empty. No extra clothes, no toiletries, just a single folded piece of paper. Against her better judgment, she peeked. It was a guest registry form from another inn dated 1963. The handwriting was neat, and there was Victor's name, signed clearly at the bottom. That night, Daniel confronted him over dinner. "You've been here long enough," he said firmly. "You need to move on." Victor didn't get angry. He didn't even flinch. He just smiled, tilting his head slightly. "But Daniel," he said softly, "isn't it lovely to be wanted?" That night, Lydia awoke to the sound of someone humming downstairs. She crept down barefoot and froze. Victor was standing in the parlor, staring into the darkened mirror above the fireplace. He wasn't moving, just standing, smiling faintly at his own reflection. But in the glass, his reflection wasn't alone. A dozen shadowy faces stared back at him, men, women, even children, eyes hollow, mouths pressed into silent screams. Lydia gasped, and Victor slowly turned, his face calm. "They were all such kind hosts," he said gently. "Like you." From then on, things escalated. Guests complained of nightmares, dreams of being trapped in rooms they couldn't leave, with Victor silently watching from the corner. Daniel found the guest registry one morning with unfamiliar names signed in, though no such people had checked in. The names were old-fashioned, some dating back to the 1940s. One night, a guest vanished, a young woman named Claire, traveling alone. Her luggage remained, her car untouched in the driveway, but her bed was neatly made, as if she had never existed. The police were called, searches were done, but no trace of her was found. Victor, of course, stayed. Daniel finally reached his breaking point. He stormed into Victor's room one night with a baseball bat, demanding he leave. But when he swung the bat at Victor's head, it passed through him as though hitting smoke. Victor just stood there, smiling politely, and said, "You can't evict me, Daniel. I'm the guest, and I was invited." Terrified, Lydia begged Victor to explain what he wanted. He only replied, "To belong, to be remembered, to stay." From then on, the inn became cursed. Guests stopped coming after rumors spread of disappearances and strange happenings. The building grew cold, the air heavy, mirrors fogged with words no one wrote. And still, Victor remained, sitting in the parlor, sipping tea that never cooled, smiling at no one in particular. Years later, after Daniel left in despair, Lydia was interviewed by a local journalist. She looked older, worn down, and when asked if she regretted ever opening the inn, she whispered, "I don't regret the inn. I regret opening the door to the perfect guest, because he doesn't leave, not for me, not for anyone." To this day, locals say the inn stand's empty butt lights flicker in the parlor at night, and if you press your ear against the walls, you can hear soft whispers, and sometimes a voice will murmur politely, "Thank you for having me. I'll be staying just a little longer." Would you risk inviting the perfect guest into your home if you knew he'd never leave? Tell me in the comments, because maybe, just maybe, the perfect guest is already in your house, waiting to be noticed.